Welcome to the HR Chat Show, one of the world's most downloaded and shared podcasts designed for HR pros, talent execs, tech enthusiasts, and business leaders. For hundreds more episodes and what's new in the world of work, subscribe to the show, follow us on social media, and visit hrgazette.com.
Welcome to another episode of the HR Chat Show. Hello, listeners. This is your host today, Bill Banham. And joining me on the show for the very first time is the amazing Sue Quackenbush, Chief People Officer over at Dynatrace. Sue shapes the Dynatrace culture by establishing a unified one-company mindset and providing a consistent employee experience across their diverse team of over 4,000 Dynatracers. Hey, Sue, welcome to the show today. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Bill, to have me.
And before we go any further, a ginormous shout out to our mutual friend, Jeff Wold, who did this introduction and brought us here today. Hey, Jeff, we love you. Let's catch up soon. Sue, beyond my very brief introduction just a moment ago, why don't you take a minute or two and tell our listeners a bit more about yourself, your role, and what gets you up in the morning?
Okay, great. So about myself, I've been in the HR space for probably the past 25 plus years, and the last 13 years as Chief People Officer at several different companies, now at Dynatrace. What gets me up in the morning is really the ability to make a difference, right? Make a difference not only across all of the Dynatracers, but just across all our candidates and anyone who can come across my path.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the HR Chat Podcast. If you enjoy the audio content we produce, you'll love our articles on the HR Gazette. Learn more at hrgazette.com. And now, back to the show.
Okay, thank you very much. Love it. For those folks who haven't heard of Dynatrace, can you just take a minute and tell them a bit about the company?
Sure. Dynatrace is a software company, and we are an AI-powered platform that helps organizations analyze, automate, and innovate faster. We really help customers to drive their businesses forward by providing those insights into their business.
Okay, I think you've done that before. Very well done. Okay, so here's a question for you. How do you attract great talent, top talent in a pretty competitive technology sector? What are your tips there?
So it's multifaceted, right? Number one, we have a really strong employer brand that really speaks to the type of culture, the type of experience for all of our Dynatracers. So we do a lot of external events where we bring great talent into the organization to see what Dynatrace is all about. We have a very strong referral program, so we get great talent through other Dynatracers. So we're always out in the market. And, it's that combination of showcasing the experience that someone can have in the organization. We also have created very specific employee value propositions for our sales professionals, for our tech professionals. And these are guiding resources that help us explain and articulate what someone can expect when they come to Dynatrace.
So ahead of this call today, I was doing my homework, and on your LinkedIn profile, on the company LinkedIn profile, it seems like you've got employees all around the world. Are they all office based? Do you guys have a hybrid model? Are you pro remote employees? What's your take on that?
So we have a hybrid model. We've had it in place now for a while, and we will continue to support that hybrid model. We have about 22 operated facilities across the globe, as well as other facilities that we lease. But we basically have Dynatraces in over 50 countries. So we have distributed teams. We do have in our operated facilities populations that come into the offices. We have a hybrid model with anchor days, and so we really support flexibility, but support Dynatracers all over the globe.
Join Dr. Bill Howitt in his new podcast dedicated to empowering employers with the knowledge and tools to protect and promote mental health in the workplace. The Exploring Workplace Mental Health show considers issues relating to capacity building. Tune in as Dr. Bill delves into the why, what, and how of fostering a mentally healthy work environment. Each episode provides employers and decision makers with actionable insights and strategies to create a supportive culture that empowers employees. Subscribe to the podcast now to access the latest episodes.
Okay, so primarily a hybrid model. Do you have a proportion of employees that are entirely remote as well?
We do. About 33% of our employee base are fully remote. And how we stay connected with everyone is we do have a remote connect club that hosts a number of events across the year to really create that community for individuals that are not in an office or located near one of our offices.
You must have a crystal ball under your desk, because that was where I was going with those leading questions is around that. How do you ensure with new hires, for example, that they feel part of the company culture if they are entirely remote or only come into the office sometimes? It sounds like you're going the extra mile by ensuring that there are in-person opportunities as well for your employees. Do you think that's absolutely key, that there are some opportunities that employers can get together and they can, I don't know, learn from each other's vibes, so to speak? Mm-hmm. Or can someone still buy into the company culture and contribute to that culture if they never do any of that stuff and they're always entirely remote?
The answer is yes, you can. And it's funny you use the word vibes. So our employer brand is real vibes, real people. And that is that really resonates and encapsulates the feeling when you meet another Dynatracer. And to your point, we have opportunities where we can bring teams together and meet in person using our offices for collaboration. So we do support that. But to your point about someone who's remote and never gets to go into an office or meet someone physical, there's the opportunity through our Remote Connect Club. We have many different communities that we champion. We have employee resource groups, so individuals can still feel the Dynatrace culture and experience it through their daily interactions, be it virtual. And so we definitely are always monitoring how do we ensure the experience resonates for in-office, hybrid, and fully remote Dynatracers.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Obviously, a large proportion of our listeners are HR leaders and people leaders. Mm-hmm. For those sorts of professionals like yourself, is it actually quite important that you're in the office sometimes, having those conversations with the C-level as well as with line managers and other employees, as opposed to other employees? It sounds like at Dynatrace where they can afford to be fully remote.
So I look, an experience is always important, be it virtual or in person. And I am actually a full-time remote individual. So I travel a lot. So yes, I do have that in person. From an executive team perspective, our CEOs, sponsors and supports the executive team getting together on a regular basis. But I would have to say, each experience, virtual or non-virtual, they're all very important. And how one prepares for them and how one approaches them, may be different. But the ability to connect with an individual, regardless of where you're connecting or how you're connecting, should be something that is done strategically.
Great answer. And regular listeners of the show will know that I'm personally a huge proponent for giving people the right to work remotely all the time if they want to, or be hybrid, or go to the office if they want to, as long as they get the job done and they contribute to the company culture. my take is, what does it matter? Anyway, who cares about what I say? I'm just the interviewer. Let's continue through. You guys have an amazing podcast called Real Talks. Tell me about that. What inspired it? What themes do you guys explore? Give us the lowdown.
So Real Talks is a podcast series that I host at Dynatrace. And the whole purpose of that is really to showcase Dynatracers across the world. So from an internal perspective, it's really how do we continue to bring that one company mindset, that one team, showcase individuals from all different functions, from all different parts of the world, and really the focus is on showcasing their career, showcasing, them as leaders, them as mentors, champions of different causes, individuals who maybe have been at Dynatrace, left Dynatrace, come back to Dynatrace. But it's really showcasing the breadth and depth of our employees. And, back to our last question about hybrid, and experiences, at the end of the day, it's how do you build connection? Because connection builds sense of belonging. And so the Real Talks podcast are all of our other events that we host, cultural breakfasts and things like that, virtual and in the offices. It's all about driving that connection and really bringing awareness to the fabric of the organization.
Hi, this is Chris Bierling, host of the People and Performance podcast. Each episode features conversations Bill Banham and I have with leaders and consultants about ways they've inspired colleagues to thrive. Past People and Performance podcast guests are from such brands as NASA, IBM, Rolls-Royce, and McKinsey & Co. You can find us on your podcast player of choice.
And it's fun too, right? Doing these podcasts, it's one of the favorite parts of my job. You get to build new relationships. You get to explore a bit about other people's takes and their experiences in a short space of time. But it's a nice way to then share that with the world. So personally, I think it's terribly fun. Would you agree?
I agree. I love it. And I always learn something. It's just amazing to hear from an individual, their journey, their story, their perspective on Dynatrace. And, through the voice of our employees, that's going to help either retain or attract other great talent. So it's just another way of really being able to say, hey, hear from someone who's doing this job or has had this experience and learn from them, but also get excited by their journey, because if they can have that journey, you can have that journey. And this is the organization that provides the opportunity or platform for that experience.
So far in this conversation, we have touched upon talent attraction a couple of times, but let's now talk about talent development, if that's okay. What's your approach to talent development at Dynatrace, especially in preparing future leaders for success in high growth, high tech environments?
So great question. Love it. Coming to Dynatrace almost 3 years ago, we really had to establish what good looks like from a leadership perspective. And so that journey where we define the leadership expectations and really the behaviors that we want our leaders to show up with, we've been on a path of really building that into different leadership programs. So we have a very robust talent review and succession planning approach where we do it twice a year. We really look at providing different types of leadership programs, from accelerated and advanced leadership to emerging leaders. We've created an entire curriculum of really, we call it Dynatrace Elements of Leadership. And it's really how to act and how to do things within Dynatrace. And the reason why we had to set it and build it is because when I came into the organization, we were consistently inconsistent. We didn't have that platform built. And so creating the awareness and understanding and language around good leadership and really showing up through our behaviors and living our values, all of that had to be refreshed and put in place. And, we are very strategic about reviewing our leaders, building leadership development plans, putting in feedback mechanisms, putting in mentoring program globally, and to really help guide and provide those resources for our leaders to continue to excel and grow.
Okay, so in addition to being fantastic at attracting new additions to the company with those cool vibes, as we discussed earlier on,
Yeah.
can you kind of spell out for us the importance of retention, of retaining employees that you are developing into leadership roles? So why is that important? So, for example, it costs a lot to hire a new person, right?
Right.
And also the knowledge transfer. I'm guessing that's a key piece as well. If you can retain your people, they know all about the company, they know all about the culture already. Why on earth wouldn't you do everything you can to develop them and keep them within the company? Is that fair to say?
Well, it's fair to say, but also as the company continues to grow, we want to ensure all of our Dynatracers are growing, right? You don't want to have a large gap. You want to make sure that there's continuous growth and innovation. And so being able to create an ecosystem where individuals can come in and thrive and grow from a retention perspective, everything you said, right? The cost, the disruption, the knowledge loss if someone leaves, but there's a stability platform here that's put in place too. And there's, when someone is growing and developing, and they have that feeling of stability, you're going to get so much more engagement and I would say productivity from an individual because they're switched on, they're focused, they're growing. And so, there's that retention aspect, but yet you want to make sure people are continuing to grow because you don't want someone just to be retained and not grow. You want to make sure there's alignment between where the company's going and how that individual continues to contribute to that growth.
Sue, it's interesting as I reflect on the evolution of the conversations that I've had on this podcast since back in, 2016. That was before I went grey. Back in the old days, a lot of the conversations I had with the HR and people leaders were around the culture, around mentoring, around coaching. Often these days, I'm chatting with folks who perhaps got a data background, a finance background, and then moved into CHRO type roles. How important is data today? What role does people analytics play in shaping your people and culture strategy? Is it the number one key element here, or actually is there still an important place for those more humanistic elements?
So data is critically important, and I would say that it is as important as the humanistic elements. I mean, you can't have just one. I mean, the role from our as it is today and continues to evolve is the scope is very wide. And so, data allows you to unlock value, allows you to gain insights into your employee population, into trends of where things may be going. And you may be able to make better, I believe fundamentally, the data helps you make better decisions, right? Data-based decisions augment everything else. And so, data is also the key to ensuring that, as we bring in more capabilities through AI powered tools and approaches, how do we make sure we're grounded in solid information and information that's accurate and to really help us unlock that value? I mean, too often in a lot of organizations, you're still trying to, it's almost the creation of data, right? We have multiple systems, sometimes they're disparate, trying to pull sources together to really understand what's going on in your business is quite difficult and time consuming. So the more efficient and the more robust and accurate your data set is, it's just another key component to the tools you have to make better business decisions.
And you guys are pretty big companies. I'm interested to get your take. Do you guys tend to go for pre-built tech stacks, or do you prefer to have in-house technology for analyzing your people?
From a people perspective, we actually are buying, we have different tech stacks that we bring into the organization. From the people analytics, it's not proprietary. We are a SaaS company and our products are built in-house, but from an HR perspective, we're actually in the midst of deploying a new HCM with all of the different modules, and this is we're bringing into the organization.
Excellent. Thank you. 2 more questions for you before I let you go and get on with your day. Next one. I like to mix things up sometimes. So I'm going to do that right now. In 60 seconds or less, and it might touch upon some of the things you've mentioned so far. In 60 seconds or less, Sue, looking ahead, what emerging workplace trends are you most excited or maybe concerned about as a people leader in tech? Go.
So most excited is the opportunity that AI brings to the function, right? And how can we use it to truly advance some of the I would say those areas that are holding us back or are too difficult to get. So I'm so excited about what AI can bring to the HR function, and just from a people analytics and insights, the art of the possible is so exciting. I also am concerned about the humanistic side, right? Making sure that companies and CHROs approach identifying the right principles around what is human, what is non-human, and how do we deploy these new technologies in a way that really are balanced, without losing sight of the importance of relationships and connections and communication. And so how do we balance that and continue to drive that forward?
Excellent, which leads me into my final question, which is about relationships and connections. How can folks connect with you? Is that through LinkedIn? Do you want to share your email address? Are you super cool and all over TikTok and places? And of course, how can our listeners learn more about Dynatrace?
So check out Dynatrace.com. You can learn a ton about our offerings and the organization. For me personally, LinkedIn is a great way. I am not cool on TikTok, so that's not the best way to reach me, but I would say LinkedIn is awesome, or my Dynatrace email at sue.quackenbush@dynatrace.com.
Perfect. Me too. I would be lost trying to use TikTok, but I love a bit of a LinkedIn. Sue, that just leaves me to say for today, thank you very much for being my guest.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
And listeners, as always, until next time, happy working.
Thanks for listening to the HR Chat Show. If you enjoyed this episode, why not subscribe and listen to some of the hundreds of episodes published by HR Gazette? And remember, for what's new in the world of work, subscribe to the show, follow us on social media, and visit hrgazette.com.